Should trans people be allowed at the Olympic Games to participate at the Olympic Games? Why is my camera kind of crooked? Yes. My answer would be a maybe. It's gonna be controversial, this conversation, but it has to happen. I believe that everybody should participate in sports and should be allowed to compete, no matter if they're trans or not, because that's what the Olympic was made for, right? The human spirit, the fight in the human, or whatever logo they had. It was that. It was the glory of what human beings could do, no matter what. I think that everybody should compete at the Olympic Games. If you are a good athlete and good enough to compete at the Olympics, you should be allowed to compete at the Olympics. The Olympics is a competition where the best compete against the best, right? What I'm not keen on is to allow a trans woman or trans man to compete in the same arena as a woman or a man if they haven't been transitioning for a set amount of time. If they're only being on hormones for the first month and they go on a boxing ring with a woman, that's not okay. You're only been on hormones for a month. And I find that very disturbing. A lot of people say, oh, you're transphobic or whatever. I can't believe you think like that. But I do believe that that's the case. Your hormones have not properly kicked in to remove all the advantages that you have pre-hormones or pre-transitioning. You still have testosterone is still inside your body. You still have the muscles built by testosterone, and you're gonna be punching a woman. For me, that's not right. However, the same thing for any sports. If you've only been transitioning for a very short time amount, I agree. You cannot compete until doctors say, okay, your hormones levels are at that of a woman, of the general woman. For example, my estrogen and testosterone are at that level of a healthy woman, period. And therefore, I have zero advantage on other women, especially in sports. Like, I'm so freaking weak that a woman at 45 can beat me at anything at this moment. And I'm very sportive, right? That goes for any sport. If you haven't transitioned for a while, you should not compete. They should have requirements for it. I agree with that, to make it fair. However, once those requirements are met, I think that they should be allowed to compete. They should. Because, what I found so hypocrites about the people that says trans women should not be allowed to compete, and even the Olympic committee, which is bleh, fuck you. It's that they even thought, like, I heard rumors of having like competition of mixed genders. There has always been this competition against genders, who's best, men or women, and have them compete. And they also have, the warrior thing where women also compete. I remember when that started, only men were competing, and then women became more and more into it. And that is very hypocrite. But I get where they're coming. Like, I get where they also are coming from, because, for example, when I heard a trans woman is competing here, I was kind of disappointed to hear, okay, they're doing boxing, or they're doing swimming, or they're doing running. I'm like, okay, fine, good for them. But I would like to see like a trans gymnast competing, because nobody can tell me that person will have an advantage on it. Have you seen Simone Biles? I think she can beat any of the male gymnasts if she wanted to. The girl is amazing. And even then, some gymnasts were actually kind of shitheads and say, oh yeah, it's because she's black that she has an advantage of us. And mind you, I think the Olympic Games have had a history of just like whiteness, that a lot of white people were competing, especially in gymnastics. I remember growing up, and doing gymnastics, because I did gymnastics, self-taught gymnast for 14 years. and I was obsessed with the sport. And the only black person there were only two black people that I saw, two black women that I saw, and a man also on the men's team, and not more than that. That was Dominic Dawes, and got this French girl, I forgot her name. She was also very good. There were not many people of colors like into sports, and if they were, they didn't even make it to the top. And now we see that a lot more people of colors are joining the sports, and sometimes people say it's because they do have more stamina, their body is better for the sports and blah. I'm tall. I'm 6'1". No, I'm 6 foot, sorry. 5'11", actually. If 5'11", because I'm 181 centimeters tall. And I've always been tall, and I did gymnastics. And like they told Esbelana Jorquina, she was too tall for gymnastics. And I was considered very good at gymnastics, even though I was at the disadvantage that I was too tall. So is it an advantage because of my hormones, or is it because of my body, or my race? What is it? Like, pick something. It cannot be all of it, because Jorquina had a disadvantage and she still became one of the best gymnasts in history. Also, oh my God, this woman, I can't believe I'm forgetting all of the iconic gymnasts, actually. Anyway, she's 51 and she's still going strong. She doesn't scream out that, it's because of this or because of that. She just do the sport. She does what she can, what she's capable of. I think every athlete should be like honest enough with themselves to say, fuck, I'm horrible. I need to improve. It's not about them being better than I am, or they having a different body than I have. I think it's more of I'm not good enough and I have to be better. And that's what makes athletes good at athletes, if not great athletes. Because we can talk about Michael Phelps, who, let's face it, the guy had a body that was not normal. He had longer arms, he had longer torso, he has better ears. Please don't hate me. I'm just trying to keep the conversation, light. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, people could see that he had a different body type and call him out on that. Like, he has a disadvantage on it. Shorter swimmers could say, oh, he's tall, of course he's gonna swim, he's gonna get there faster than I do. But I already made that clear. I would like to see trans women doing figure skating or gymnastics or some kind of a sport like that. This, requires some grace and beauty and softness a little bit, because I would like to see what we as trans women can be capable of. And I think that then a lot of people would have a lot less to say when it comes to she has an advantage, because it's kind of like, it's not using force, it's not using muscles, it's using grace and beauty and coordination rather than boxing, which boxing for me is just, aggressiveness. But that's me. It's kind of like football is just freaking men going after a freaking ball. It's kind of like, not saying it doesn't require skills, it does require a lot of skills. I cannot do football, not even to save my life. But anyway, I cover that, right? The other thing that bothers me about this whole Olympic ban on trans people is that how many trans people do sports, especially trans women? Not many, really not many. Most of them goes to the gym because they want to get a bigger butt. Just doing leg workouts, butt workouts, glute workouts, day in and day out, and a lot of cardio to lose the belly fat and upper body fat. I'm a victim to that. Still am, because I'm still dieting a lot while trying to do a lot of cardio and a lot of glute workouts, because in the hope that will give me a more feminine body. I don't think with the gender dysphoria that trans women feels that they go out and say, okay, I'm gonna be in a lot of the sports, because a lot of us wants to be thin, have curves, have hips, have butts, and appear more feminine, not to get clocked on the street, to fit into a beautiful dress. So I don't see a lot of trans women being in I'm the one who's more concerned about, okay, you know what? I need to keep myself fit because I'm 44 and I need to take care of my health because I'm pushing 50. And I don't care. I really don't center femininity that much in my life anymore. Well, I do because I do like to dress up and I do want to find my style and I want to look pretty, but I don't do it for society and I do not center men in my life. But most trans women do. And sometimes trans women don't even go to the gym for their butts. Most of them go for a BBL, so they're even lazy to work out, let alone do a fucking sport. So I think that it's unfair to have a few people, if at all, who wants to do sports and who have trained enough to be able to compete at Olympic levels, which, let's be honest, not many people are capable of, be banned from it because of trans. Like I said, there must be a requirement of if you're not on hormones for a certain amount of time, if you haven't had certain surgeries, not meaning the bottom surgeries, and it must be regulated all the time, they should be able to compete. A doctor should be able to say, hey, listen, this person has zero advantages. Here are the results. Go ahead. There's actually a session of Olympic Games, I believe. I saw it the other day on television. I don't know what that is about, where there are athletes who are allowed to use sports enhancement medication. That is actually a thing. I saw it on television. It's a competition of sports and athletes who are allowed to take this medication to compete. So it's not about sports. It's not about, protecting women in sports or whatever. It's just hatefulness and it's just trying to exclude a small percentage of people. Like I said, not many can train at an Olympic level. It's once in a lifetime. I imagine myself training day in and day out, thinking it will be amazing if I can get to the Olympic. But not everybody does. No matter how much you train or what you do, not everybody can get into the Olympics. You know the amount of hard work that it takes to get to the Olympics? A lot. Now I want to talk about last thing that I want to talk about on all of this is that sports can change and save life. I got into gymnastics because I wanted to learn the backflip. I saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, not the series. Never could get into the series. I know, controversial. I prefer the movie. I find it a classic, an iconic. Come on. Something is wrong with you if you don't like the movie. But anyway, I wanted to learn the backflip. But then, little by little, the more I practiced, the more I did, the more I watched the sport. I fell in love with the sport. And I think that it was the universe looking after me. Because every day, someone being bullied and harassed and their life threatened continuously on a daily basis from strangers and from students and classmates and what have you. That was my safe place. That was my playground. I don't want to get emotional. Jesus Christ. It's the hormones. It was my safe space. I didn't have friends, not close friends, really. I didn't have boyfriends. Didn't even go out on dates because nobody would want to. And I didn't care either because gymnastics became my everything. Gymnastics, when I was sad, when I was angry, when I was anxious, when I was bored, I went to gymnastics and I got lost in the sport for hours, flipping, trying new things, challenging myself, challenge gravity, challenge my body. And that was the reason I woke up every morning. That was the thing that got me through school. That was the thing that got me through my teenage years. It got me through so much depression. It was my go-to thing. And I think a lot of people who does sports, and please leave a message at the comment if you are one of those people who does sports. because of what I'm about to say. I would really love to hear your experience and how it has changed you and how it can change people, because this is important information to get out there. Is that a lot of athletes have gone into sports because of something, a medical condition, an accident that they've been through, mental issues, depression, you name it. They get into a certain sport because that's the only way to cope with life. And sometimes a sport becomes everything, and before you know it, you're competing at high levels. Not because you were there saying have an advantage on everybody. No, it's because you find yourself there because of the work that you put in, not because you wanted to be the best, but because you love the sport that much that you get a chance to compete, for example, at the Olympics. That you say, wow, okay, you know what, I'm good enough to be there. But I don't think a lot of people go into a sport saying, hey, I want to compete at the Olympics. Maybe there are people like that, and maybe you get that idea when you realize that you're good at something. But most people, especially minority, don't go into sports because they think that they have an advantage over anybody. In fact, they have respect for other athletes in the field because they know how it is. When another gymnast sees someone get injured, they feel it because they either been there or they're afraid to be there. When a gymnast falls from a balance beam, they feel it because they know the amount of times the other gymnasts must have done that routine day in and day out. There's a respect within the sport, and someone who doesn't respect the hard work of another athlete is an asshole. If you're good, and it's okay to admit that you say, okay, you know what, I'm the GOAT. Simone Biles knows that she's good, but she also loves the sport. Trust me on that one. You have to love the sport. I had a little bit of Simone Biles in me, I guess, when I was a gymnast because I always wanted to do the impossible possible. And she has that curiosity of, can I add an extra twist to that? Even though nobody is doing it, and it's the most difficult skill that you are doing, you always want to say, can I do this or add this? And she has that curiosity about it, and she knows that about her, that she is good. But I'm sure that she goes on the floor and respects those people because she knows the heartbreak and she knows the hard work that goes into being there. And I think that this is what we have to talk about. It's not the Olympics, and we have to protect women's sports. There's nothing to protect unless a man, a cis man, comes in and takes over the sports. And trust me, they would not be able to do the sports. Like, for example, a male gymnast can never do female artistic gymnastics like a woman can. Trust me on that. That takes a lot of practice to do. As an athlete and as someone who cares deeply for fitness, because fitness keeps my mental health stable and it gives me a place to take out my anger and frustration and extra energy that I have. You're taking that away from children that might need it, from teenagers that might need it. Sports is a medicine, exercise is a medicine. And when the Olympics says, well, you're not allowed to compete with us because of who you are, you're sending out a message to kids that it doesn't matter to be healthy or to do any kind of sports. Because if the biggest sporting event of the world says that you don't matter, then what's the point? Where's the dream of a kid, living in the middle of nowhere in the world, who has a dream of saying, well, you know what? I'm crying because this was me in the 90s as a teenager, going through so much. There might be someone in the middle of nowhere, living in the middle of nowhere, that has nothing but a dream to be someone in the sports. I hate myself sometimes. Who dreams about reaching something so powerful, like having a gold medal. And that woman, who's, I don't know, what is she, the director, the CEO, whatever, of the Olympic Committee, she should be ashamed of it. She should be ashamed of herself, what she stands for, and she doesn't care about sports. Because someone who cares truly about sports would never ban anyone from doing it and from achieving something that they probably were dreaming about since being a child. And she probably never done a sport in her life herself. And that is why I say it's bullshit these days to talk about these kind of things and thinking that you're right when everything is being created as a club of look at us, we're cool, and look at you, you guys are losers. They have built the world, the adult world, into a big, high fucking school where the bullying, where people are being ridiculed day in and day out never ends. Okay, you guys are rich and you guys have power, but you guys are never gonna be cool and you guys are never gonna be liked by anyone. And I just hope to anyone that is doing sports and fitness to really just keep doing it, because I know you love what you're doing. It has nothing to do about you having an advantage over someone else. If you do win, you won because of your hard work. We have to stop telling people that they didn't win fourth place because of someone else took it from them. That is not taking it from them. You just ended up in fifth place because you didn't go hard enough. Stop being so entitled. You have to have requirements anyway to enter sports, to do a sports, to compete in a sports. There is requirements, and you can also do it with trans. Anyway, that was my 2 cents on trans women in sports. I hope that you guys found this video amusing and entertaining and probably learned something. That was my opinion. What is your opinion? Leave that down at the comments. I would definitely love to hear your opinions and your excuse of why trans women are not able to compete at all, because that's the point, right? To compete at all. Maybe we can compete with men, I guess, against men. That would be interesting to watch on Olympic Games with a female gymnast doing all the male apparatus. That would be fun, and she's probably gonna be on a top spot for sure. But that would be amazing. She's probably not gonna be allowed to anyway, because that's the way that the world works, I guess. But anyway, enough. If you like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell button. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. So stay safe. Love you. Ciao.